Governor Chris Christie was asked to leave Amtrak's quiet car yesterday. According to one rider, the presidential candidate was allegedly yelling at his security detail and was on his cell phone. The story went viral after the website Gawker posted this story, along with, check it out, this headline: Chris Christie sipping a smoothie was kicked off an Amtrak car for screaming on his phone. Only one problem here with that headline: not clear that it's true. Fellow train passengers say Christie wasn't screaming at all, and his campaign maintains he was just unaware that he was in the quiet car and left to go to another car when a conductor told him. So how much does a story like this matter right now? What kind of power does a blog have in the 2016 race? Leslie Marshall is back with us right now. And Leslie, what's your thought on it? Will this go anywhere? Does it have legs?
I don't think this is going to have huge amount of steam regarding Chris Christie, and I don't think he's going to get out of the race because of this. However, with regard to incidents like this for candidates and blogs, the youth are very heavily into the blogs, and quite frankly, a lot of people go out there, and I call it Google University. They type something in, and they believe the first thing that they read, and they don't see that it might be a left or right slanted blog that will help or hurt said candidate, and it may be filled with a lot of interesting things to read and a lot of fun to use at dinner parties, but not the truth. And what is the truth? Like you said, I mean, there are different opinions as to what happened. Where does the truth lie?
And that's one of the challenges, obviously, in this blog-like atmosphere today. I mean, a news organization like Fox, for example, you vet stuff. When you source something, you're going to have more than one source before you go with something. These blogs, on the other hand, are able to take effectively hearsay and turn that into a headline, regardless of whether something is really true or not, because it doesn't necessarily matter. They're just trying to get clicks. Does anybody really hold them accountable?
No. And I think what people have to do is become, like my mother would say, go look it up and find out for yourself. If I said, is that true? We didn't have Google back then. People really do. We need to become more educated, informed ourselves. We need to look at something and realize that this is not a media outlet like Fox that's going to give you the information. This is a blog that's going to give you an opinion based on perhaps false hearsay information.
Let me ask you about something else that Chris Christie is in the news for, saying this weekend that the Black Lives Movement is destructive. Here he is, Leslie, on one of the weekend talk shows. I'd like to get your reaction.
I don't believe that movement should be justified when they're calling for the murder of police officers. No.
But they're not calling for the murder of police officers.
Sure they are. They've been chanting in the streets for the murder of police officers.
Well, individuals have, but the Black Lives Matter is about.
Listen, John, that's what the movement is creating.
How will this affect his polling numbers, Leslie?
I don't really think it's going to affect them greatly, because I think that a lot of people who would identify themselves as Republicans, there are some within that group that do view his statement as accurate. There are others,
Wouldn't that help him,
the African-American community is over. No, I don't think that's going to help him, because I don't think that is something very different than what his opponents with much higher poll numbers are already saying. And I do agree with the interviewer there. I do agree that it's not the Black Lives Matter movement, but rather that people that cite or claim to be a part of that movement are making such claims where Black Lives Matter are trying to force politicians left or right to do something to change, which they feel is a very disproportionate amount of violence and even death from white police officers to members of the African-American community, and to improve that.
As we look at Chris Christie's candidacy, he is nowhere near what people thought he might have been at a couple of years ago when his name was bantered about. How long does he stay in this, in your view?
It's funny, because I've asked people who will not be named that have run for president, why'd you run for president when you really had no shot and you pretty much knew it? And there's a general consensus that, one, it gets your name out there again. When your name hasn't been out there, and it gets your name out in a more positive fashion. Two, maybe you have a book deal or want a book deal, which I've definitely heard about Chris Christie. And three, you could always get a great position, maybe vice president, or be appointed by the president, because you did okay, and people liked you and your popularity. So it gives you another shot for the future, for the next job.
Leslie, thank you so much. Always good to have you on the program.
Thank you, Trish. Always good to be here.